better. Let's get everything situated here. There we go. Hang in there. Just trying to find my live chat here while we're waiting for a few more. There we go. Alright, who do we got? Says there's 2 folks on. Let's fix this guy. So you can see this face made for radio. Alright guys, welcome. No idea who's here, but welcome. I wanted to talk about Slot.it chassis. The ready to run, so you can put well, you're up early, welcome. So Slot.it, as most of you know, they make a ready to run chassis for like model bodies or maybe slot car bodies from a different brand that you want to make run better. And so tonight I wanted to talk about those, and before I get started on that, I wanted to go over some couple of unusual chassis that I've saved in the past, just for that reason that they're just chassis you don't see very often. So the first one I'm going to go over, these were out probably in the mid-early 2000s. They may still make them. I've tried to get them, and it seemed like there were just no parts available, and they, the chassis itself was not available. So it would come ready to run, similar to this, and then you could get all the parts. So the way to hold the body on is, you take a straight pin and just stick it in the side there, stick it through the body. The guide was just, I don't know if you can see it, but it was just a metal pin threaded through, so that was your guide. And the center and the metal piece and the center plastic piece were mounted separately. It was held in with 2 clips right here. And you have 3 different lengths that you could make this chassis to fit different bodies. So you have 3 sets here, and then 3 guide set placements here, and then solid axle spins really free, and then the magnets were exposed, and this car just flat out flies. For you guys that are into magnets, if you can still find them somewhere. This was a really fast car. Here's the Lexan body you can get for it. Lexan interior. It's pretty basic, but like I said, this car, I haven't run it in years, but it really scoots. What's up, Dusty? The other one I have, it's a 3D chassis for this little SCX car. I'm not quite sure what it is, if it's a seat or Seat or however you pronounce it. But, wait, it might tell me right on here. Yep, Seat Panda Rally. So that's, you know, the car pretty, don't want to sit on there quite right, but that's pretty much what it is, stock. Let me get rid of this. And then they have this 3D printed chassis. So it's, you know, like Slot.it and SR and anyone else that uses a motor pod. So he bought it and put his Panda on it. To me, it seems like a waste for this car. Just doesn't do it for me, but to each their own. He must have liked it if he's going to spend that much money on a 3D printed chassis and do all that work. But just goes to show you that you can find 3D printed chassis for just about anything. Now, cooler chassis, on a similar note, it's not a Panda Rally, I don't believe, but it is another seat. That's the SCX. Now look at this chassis. This thing is pretty intricate. It's a 4-wheel drive. The guide drops down spring loaded. So this one you could actually have things on your track, and the car could, you know, drive over it and still have contact with the track. It also has four-wheel independent suspension. You can see, but you got here and here, and then these two back here. So it does move quite a bit, and it's belt driven, and it's at least this one has a belt with teeth. Some are just a belt, and I often wonder how well that 4-wheel drive actually works. But with this one being a belt, I would have to think it's pretty good, because, you know, it has teeth, it's in a groove, so it's pulling. I've not run this chassis yet. Let's see, do I have a battery? Let's just see what it sounds like. Get it to where. Battery's not. There we go. Sounds pretty strong. So, who knows? Maybe I should build this into something and use it on my SCX rally track. So, and that brand is this. So that's what it looks like when you buy the kit. I have no idea how much this costs, but you can get it from that website there if they're still in business. So it comes nicely packed in, you know, the box. You get a couple stickers. There's the shocks. Oh, this is a, maybe I should open these once in a while. This is a bigger one for probably like one of the Ninkos or SCX. Yeah, Mark, I have to agree that, I mean, these can't be cheap. It's got to be quite a bit of money. Maybe I'll look that up before we hang up. But it has Nissan on the front, so it must be made for. Does it say what it's made for? It may, but it's all in Spanish. So that's not me. But these, looks like, looking at this paperwork, you're gonna have to get it from Spain. And it comes with some tools. But man, that's got machined aluminum wheels, and they're nice looking too. See it. And it is 4-wheel drive, independent suspension. So for you off-roaders that get into that kind of stuff, that's a nice one. Alright, now let's get on to the Slot.it stuff that is readily available and people are more familiar with. Okay, so if you haven't seen one of these before, this is the Slot.it Ready to Run chassis. They have an inline angle winder, and you can't really see it, but it's a side winder. So all three chassis come with the post to mount the bodies, wheel inserts. I've got one of these, or two of these open. I got two of these open, so let's just crack it out here. So you get a bag of parts. There's a guide post, a couple of the body posts that you have to glue to the body that you're going to be using. And you can see right here the holes that those pins are going to go into. Now, I really don't want to open this up because I still plan on trying to sell it. But you might be able to see, so this bar right here would be glued to the inside of the car, and then these pins will go in those holes. So that's how it mounts. And you got an extra piece for the guide and front axle and some other parts in there. But it's basically just your standard Slot.it car, pretty much. And then this can expand and shrink. And where'd my tape measure go? So it looks like it can shrink down to about 2.5 inches and stretch out to 3.5 center to center, give or take a little. Depends on how far I can pull that out, but I think that's pretty far. So 2.5 to 3.5. Now it's going to look kind of odd with it shrink down and these pieces on there, but you know, if they stick out, you can always cut them off if you're putting them on a short car. Like this is a Pinto, and you can stretch it to fit this guy. Just make sure I'm not losing any screws there. But you can shrink it out to this. Now, the guide does look a little goofy, sticking out the front, so I would have to trim a little bit here, but it's not so bad. But the one that's really gonna look good is this Torino. So you can see, this is hard to do backwards, but it does fit. So it is long enough to work for this car. You know, you just have to make some, either use the mounting posts that are there, or you can use this one in the back. It allows you to, gives you a slot so you can be a little bit off putting a body post in here. It doesn't have to be as exact since this slides a little bit. It gives you a little bit of play. I thought there was there is a screw hole up front that would allow you to put a front screw in there. But I think these parts that come with it are probably going to be your best bet. And they come with inserts. These really aren't Torino inserts, but nevertheless you do get inserts with it. I'll go ahead and put this guy back. And the chassis are fully customizable, tunable, whatever you want to say. Just like the ready-to-run cars are, you still have here's the, excuse me, this is the angle winder one. This one has a little bit of different way. Oh my goodness, dinner. This one has these posts that stick out. Let's see if you can see it against the white of my shirt there. And you would glue a cup to the body, and then when you went to put the body on, you would just, kind of stretch it out, clip it on. But the front is the same as the other one. It has a hole. Hey Bruce, welcome Kevin. Just got sidewinder. Yeah, that's right. You did get one, didn't you? The Torino is cool. A Cobra 2 would be even cooler. Where'd it go? I got both of these online. There's a guy that sells a ton of resin bodies. He pretty much, if you can't find one on there that you like, then you're way too picky. Now, on that note, when you get them, they're not that good, to be honest. The body lines are there. It looks good here, but the body itself is really, really rough. And it's going to take quite a bit of work to smooth it out. And if you're a novice, most of these like trunk lines and even some of the body lines, you're going to lose them if you try to fill in. I don't know if you can see the pores on this or not, but that's not your screen. That's how bumpy it is. So while you do get a ton of choices that you're not going to find anywhere else, you are going to have to put some work into it. You can see how rough the Pinto is. And the way that it has that wave in the roof, you'd think it was molded off a convertible or something, but we all know that's not the case. But again, they're not that expensive, and you're not going to find them probably anywhere else, so if you want one, that's what you're going to have to do. These do have the set screws, or at least the holes to adjust your ride height on the front. They are plastic wheels in the front. I think I would rather pay a couple bucks more and get aluminum all the way around, especially if you plan to true them. I just don't trust truing plastic wheels or tires on plastic wheels, because I feel that depending on how skilled you are truing them, if you press down too hard, these wheels will spin on the axle, and that's going to keep you from getting a super true front wheels. So keep that in mind. In here, let's put this guy back. I've got a car that has an HRS chassis mounted to it. Yeah, well, the bodies are cast in resin, and I think he's just using either like die cast bodies or model bodies to make his castings. So the bodies technically should be smooth, so I don't know where the disconnect there from smooth to the rough like that is. But here's, it's not complete. I had to rob the motor for another car for a class we were racing. But you can see the angle winder I showed you where it had the tabs on the side. That's essentially what it's going to look like. You glue those cups in place, And then it's just as simple as lining them up. You can do it. This back tire is giving me a problem. There we go. You just line them up. It's almost like the old HO cars. But this one I put aluminum fronts so I can true them up. And actually, this car runs really well. Really well. I was surprised when I pulled it out and saw that it had the HRS chassis on it. I was kind of skeptical because most other chassis that I've used that are adjustable and whatnot have not run very well. So this one is a good one to go for. Does anybody have any any questions as far as the chassis go before I move on? They do have the new plug. Which one? One of them did not. Which one? Yeah, the angle winder does not have the plug, but these both do. So with my next Slot.it order, I'm going to be ordering a dozen or so of the Carrera digital chip. So it would be a direct plug-in for this, and should be for any of the new Slot.it cars themselves. And speaking of Slot.it cars, most of you have probably seen these, but I brought them home anyhow to show you. This is a new Porsche 962 that came out last Tuesday or Wednesday, I don't recall. I'm not normally a green fan, but I think this is probably one of the best looking Porsches they've come out with in quite a while. So if you like the Porsches, I recommend that one. It's another DTM. It's Alfa Romeo. It is dark blue. Kind of can see where you might think it's black. The lights are not being my friend right now. But there you go. I've not run one of these. I don't know if anyone's run one or not, or any of the Slot.it DTMs for that matter. It's not a class at our shop yet, so I don't know how they run. They may run great. They seem like they would be just a little top heavy, but no, I have not, Dusty. I've heard of them, but I have not used any of the PCR chassis. Do you have one, or are you inquiring because you might want to get one? This one came from, this is a limited edition that was only available in Spain for an event that they had, and Slot.it offered them a couple that were left over to US dealers, and I think we still have one of these left, but I'm not 100% sure. Just go on the webpage, CincySlots.com. If you're wondering, the part number is SC41A. And then the winningest car in the 91 season was this Nissan Skyline. Another car I've yet to run, but I think this one I might have to break out of the box and give it a go. It's just too good looking to not run it. See who's, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a nice one. They did good. And while we're talking about Skylines, I don't know if I've shared this yet, but the radio control people, HPI, most people are going to recognize them from RC cars. And they came out with probably a dozen or so, maybe not that many, but at least 8 to 10, I would say, slot cars. And they're like the auto art cars. The bodies and the mold lines and all that stuff is just absolutely fantastic. The HPI runs decent. I don't know if it's going to be competitive with most. The auto art cars, they looked fantastic, but again, their drive line was so awful that you just couldn't use them. They were fast, but you know, fast is no good if the motor has zero braking in it. So if you're a long time slot racer, then you can equate it to the old Carrera cars from, say, early 2000s. You'd go flying down towards a corner, let off the trigger, and they would just coast forever. But look at that guy. He is sick. I did find some super tires that would fit under here. And it's a right-hand drive. But yeah, if you can find any of these, I suggest picking them up. They're pretty nice. And, you know, if you're a scale racer, then this is even better. Because you don't have to be whipping around. Scale racers just, you know, like taking cars around for a spin just to see the cars go, where racers, what's up, D? Where, you know, people like us that race at our shop, they're more interested in going fast and less interested in what the car looks like, unless you're Pat. So, just want to share that with you. Give you something to keep your eyes out for. We are waiting on that 50-some car collection. It should have mailed out today. Trying to think what kind of cars were in there. Oh, a lot of the Japanese, what are they, JTC, I don't remember the initials, but there's quite a few of those coming, new and used, I believe. I think there's some Fly stuff in there, some Skelectric stuff in there. The guy that, you know, had the 15 to 1800 cars, I'm still in the works talking with him to figure out how we can make that work. As soon as I know something on that, you guys will be the first to know. I think I mentioned last week these setup blocks. You got the end for wood, end for plastic. These are awesome. They got nice weight to them. It's very clean, smooth. The guy did a really awesome job on them. So we still have a handful of these left. We've sold quite a few, which I'm not surprised. So if you do need one, hit the webpage, pick one up. And we've also got, I don't want to say new, but these are the SCP2 controllers from Slot.it. If you've not used a Slot.it controller, I know all these buttons are confusing when you first get it. It's a little overwhelming what they all do. But, you know, you can use this for Skelectric digital, Carrera digital. You will need to change this little cartridge down here. You can buy those separate. This one I believe was for the for high-end motors. So if you're running like you know, the NSRs or maybe the Piranhas or the BRM motors, this would be a good controller to have. The three switch or the three dials at the top, if you're not familiar with it, this first one with the green ring, that's your traction control. So if your car, when you go to come out of the turn, if your car is all wiggly, you can dial that back a little bit, and it'll smooth out your car. You won't have as much wheel spin. This yellow one, believe it or not, I just started messing with mine and paying attention this year. This is the speed, like your minimum speed. So you want to set this up if you're going around a turn. I started using the sharpest turn, and you can, if you like hold your triggers, we'll just say halfway, you can change the speed by turning that. And then once you find that comfortable speed that you can go around the sharpest turn and not fly off, that's where I set mine. So I don't have to let way off in the turns and then get back on. I can just kind of feather my hand out a little bit and bring it back. And then this one is your brake. So this one here is your max speed selector. This one takes some getting used to, I'll admit that. Took me a while to figure out which setting was best for me. And on all these, I mean, you can play with them and see which one you like, which way you like it. You want heavy brake, no brake, light brake. So, and then it does come with a trigger extension. So if you like driving with 2 fingers instead of 1, you got that option as well. And these are your lane changes when you're in digital, and it also can be used as like a brake override, so almost like an emergency brake. And this here is a thumb brake. So you can leave your finger where it is, and if you need to slow down for a second, you just press that and let go when you've slowed down enough. I don't use that myself. They do have a curve or a linear, so your power, kind of starts off steady and then goes up, or it just goes up from the get-go. Again, that's something that you're going to want to play with. You can see it on the back here. Down here you got to switch. So these, again, if you've never used one but you know somebody that does, I highly recommend you give it a shot. Have them set it up in what I call idiot mode, which is pretty much how mine's set up. And I'd be surprised if you didn't enjoy it. The downside to this is it does have a $200 price tag, but you can do so much stuff with it. And if you get a DeFalco or something like upwards of those, you're going to most likely be paying more. So, let's see. Yeah, there's quite a few people that could use autopilot, but no, it doesn't. The SP3, I just went over this. I think it's more oxygen or digital based, if I'm not mistaken. Because I was going to order some, and when my rep told me that it was more, I want to say she told me it was more digital or oxygen, and since I don't have any customers, or at least I don't know of any customers that are doing oxygen. I didn't really want to spend the money to bring them in because, as I just told you, they're not cheap. But they are a fantastic controller. I don't know if there's, I don't think there's anything else this week. It was pretty light week as far as new stuff coming out. Yeah. The one with autopilot, Kevin, or one of these? No. I don't know, I just can't say enough good things about it. I have different controllers at the shop, and I've got some that were old Professor motor. I don't know if I've got one up here or not. Yeah, like the old Professor motor. Whoops. This is what I would say a no frills controller. You plug it into your track if you're hardwired. So you just plug it in, pull the trigger, and go. That's all you get. Now, for the price point of this, which when these were available, I want to say they were like $45. You know, it's a good loaner controller. If somebody comes to the shop and they don't have one, it's like, you know, here you can use this, and you know, if they want something better, you know, there's better ones out there. So, you know, it's not bad, but once you use something like this and understand how something like this works, it's kind of like driving, you know, a car from the 60s and then, or, you know, we'll say a Mustang from the 60s and then hopping in a Mustang of today. And you're like, how could I have driven that car for so long when this car is out there? So keep that in mind when you're looking for controllers. Don't let the button scare you. It tells you all of the info of what they do. Plus, there's an instruction booklet in here. Tires coming soon. Well, Super Tires, I think I brought it up last week that they made a new mold for the 12401, which is, again, it fits it'll fit on the DTMs, the 911s, the new 911s, the Corvettes, the Audi R8, maybe one or two others. But when Nick made the original mold, he made it with, you know, the 1/32 size sidewall, and it wasn't going to work. And he altered the mold to work, and it did great for years. And the stuff that he used to fix it was starting to deteriorate. And when his daughter took over, that was the first thing she did, was remake that mold. So in essence, it's all the same. It's just the sidewall is nice and smooth, where the other one was starting to get a little bit of like rough sidewall. So anyhow, she's got that under control, and now she is working on the Lola T70 D124 and the little Revo slots. They it's past my bedtime. No, the like the BMW 2002, the Alphas, the Escorts. She's in the process of getting molds made for those. So hopefully, after getting the first one under her belt, we can see what's coming soon. And those two are the next two in line. And they're also looking to do the Carrera Mustang, the GTY mold for that car too. Controllers for reasonable price point. Well, yeah, we also have True Speed controllers. They have a sensitivity knob as well as a brake adjustment. If you get on our page under True Speed, they'll come up. And I want to say they're right around 80, 90 bucks. The only downside, and well, I guess Slot.it's the same, so I guess it doesn't matter. You don't get your alligator clips, and you don't get any of these like little insulator type things. I mean, you can find them online; they're cheap enough, but you will need to get alligator clips. Slot does make one. The only one from them I've ever used was their digital wireless one. And to be honest with you, it's probably gotten a lot better by now, but when we were using that one, to make any adjustments was kind of a nightmare. It was, you had to click so many times and pull the trigger or something. I don't know. It was just like, it wasn't something where I could just drive it the way I like it, hand it to a friend, and then, like on this one where you just turn it a little bit here for what I like and there for what I like, and then go drive. You were kind of in the dark because you didn't know exactly what step you were on, and if you messed it up, then you had to go back. So for us, it just wasn't the way to go. So, but we gave it a shot, and just wasn't for us. It doesn't mean it's not something that nobody's gonna like. I'm sure they sell tons of them, so somebody's gotta like them. The opals. I would say, if I had to guess, I'd probably say probably a month from now. Typically, when you start seeing the pictures pop up, they're not too far off, but don't hold me to that because I don't have any insider info on those. Is there an aftermarket wireless controller for Carrera? Okay. The short answer is yes, there is one out there, just like Ed said, the Slot one. I've not looked on their page to see if or what updates they've done to the last one. As far as like driving it or using it to drive, that part was all fine. For me, I just was turned off by the programming. Trigger was a little soft. It was kind of like the difference between a good plastic fork or a good plastic knife and a bad plastic knife. It's just a little soft, for my liking anyhow. But yeah, it was good as far as the wireless and walking around and not needing to stay in the same place because you were tethered down. But for the most part, when I run, there's usually enough people around that we can marshal everybody's stuff. So, but yeah, anybody have any other questions about any of the stuff that we talked about? Slot.it controller, Slot.it controllers or Slot.it chassis. I think that's it. But as far as the obscure, I found this the other day. It looks like either a Bel Air or Nomad. I'm not a Chevy guy, so don't shoot me for that. But it's an old wagon, and then it looks like they put a Corvette front end on it. T-Jet body, or for a T-Jet. It's kind of cool. But the inside, I mean, it's a resin cast, but it's pretty sweet. Somebody put some work into it, because normally you could tell where they would have molded two things together, and this one you can't. And I wonder, I don't know, maybe, I don't think it is, but yeah, put that on a Viper chassis. The problem is, putting it on a Viper chassis, the wheels would be sticking way out. Let's see just how far out they would stick. Yeah, that's essentially what it would look like on a Viper chassis. So that would look a little silly. But of course, I think this is a wide chassis, but I just happen to have it sitting here with this Mustang, so I don't know, Daryl. I might have to take it to the shop and see. Maybe it would work on it. Definitely needs a paint job, because this is not gonna get it. All right, guys. We only made it 46 minutes tonight. What's up, John? Of Legends 57 Chevy. What about it? What am I missing? So be sure to visit supertires.com. She's supposed to be updating the yeah, see you, Kevin. I can't wait. So a lot of guys looking forward to catching up with you. Yeah, check out the wheels sticking out. Yeah. Oh, I see. You're making that a Legends. Yeah, that's definitely what it would look like. But visit the page, CincySlots.com. Check out Super Tires. If you've not run any yet, give them a shot. At least you can make an informed decision on what tires you want to use. They do have them in silicone and urethane. Steve-O, what's up, man? How do you make that inline engine in a lot? I'm not 100% sure what you're talking about. If you're talking about the chassis, I'm not sure if a Sidewinder would fit in a Group C. I want to say it would, but since we always have run the stock motor configuration, I've not really tried, so yeah, that'd be awesome, Dusty, if you can make it down. Yeah, it's our last race Thursday, so if anybody's nearby and well, Group C Sidewinders, not legal, but it may fit. At least not at the shop. It's not legal. Now, if if you're talking like Butch's races or whatever, I have no idea what their rules are. I'm assuming that's where Steve's headed with this. Sorry, Ed. Well, hopefully you were happy with your $700 purchase. that's an inline setup. Yeah, all Group C's that I know of have the inline setup, and I don't know. I'm in a sticky spot because I should be wanting everybody to buy tons of parts and change everything up, but I just feel that it's not for everybody. And I'm with you, Steve. It's all good. It's not for everybody. I don't mind tuning myself, but sometimes I just want to do the bare minimum, and it's better for the new guys that don't have all the fancy tools and the know-how. So classes like that are good for them. That's why with the Legends, I wanted everybody to keep them I wanted to keep them stock as far as parts put in them as we can, because then anybody can participate and not be left behind because they don't have either the funds or the know-how to do the extra work. So we do have a couple unlimited classes that we run, and that usually is satisfactory for most of those guys. So, yeah. So is the Sidewinder approved for butches? And how many different cars have you guys tried putting a Sidewinder in? I want to say the one I tried was the Porsche, like the 962. Yeah, Daryl, you can't get enough unlimited. You're just a tinker monster. But it's good that somebody is, because you do all the work and then you let us know what works and doesn't work. So we appreciate that. So, all right. Unless you guys have something else you would like to talk about, I'm gonna head upstairs and see you all. Well, not all of you, but see several of you Thursday. What are you gonna try? Yeah, that's another thing. Most people, they're gonna put F1 wheels. The only I'd say 3 rules that we have for unlimited, which kind of sounds wrong that we do have rules for unlimited, but 1, you're not supposed to rub the track with the chassis, no magnets, and the wheels can't stick out from the bodywork. So if you're going to use the F1 wheels, you got to find a car that's wide enough to stuff them under there. Yeah, I've been doing this a long time, Steve, and whichever, it's just like the real racing. Whatever car setup wins at the race is what most people would show up on Monday trying to buy. So they would, if an inline guy won, I'd get, 2 or 3 guys show up and they want to inline because that's what so-and-so had. And then it was the angle winders, and now I'd say for the time being and for some time the sidewinders are pulling ahead. But we'll see on Thursday. Yeah, somebody needs to get Ed a 3mm pulley. I think I told him already, the last ones that I had, or that I bought, were leftovers from when Professor Motor was making his truer, and my understanding is they are no longer available, and I don't know if Professor Motor is ever gonna make another one. I would have to think if anybody was gonna make one, it would have been him, because you know they sold tons of them, so they gotta still have the the wherewithal to get more made. But I don't know the whole backstory, so we're stuck with the one that's out now for now. So, and hopefully it's working well for you guys. I thought somebody at the track last Thursday, I thought CG offered oh no, they said it wasn't available quite yet. I thought they were going to offer 3mm. Maybe that was you, Steve, that said it wasn't available yet. Smaller than stock. Yeah, I don't know. Unless I'm doing it wrong, my pulley works on 132 up to 3mm, so. And my cars aren't that slow, so it must work a little bit, if it is wrong. But been doing it for years, and it's worked, so I guess we'll just keep doing it. All right, Steve, you said we're hitting the road, dude. All right, well, it's time. Yeah, next week, or I'm not 100% sure what we're going to talk about, but I will come up with something. If there's anything that you want to know or have questions about that I can help get answered for you, put them in the comments, and I'll do the best I can to get those answers for you. And we will see you next week. Let's read through some of these before I end your all's chat. I think it does fit a 1/8 Darrell, but I'll have to get back to you on that. Yeah, CG doesn't offer them yet, and they don't have a regular ones separate. Alright, we'll see you, Steve. See you on Thursday. Alright, guys. I'm ready to hit the road. Hopefully we'll get that collection in maybe Wednesday or Thursday, and then I'll do my best to get that stuff posted as soon as I can. So, alright. We'll see you.